One. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Now, as you know, these interviews happen every Sunday, unless we're on a break until the next season. Today, I have an amazing guest, Mrs. Sandrell. Sandrell, how are you?
Hi, Tony. Hi, everybody watching. I'm doing just fabulous today. I'm so happy to be here. Doing great.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us in this interview series. Now, at what point was it that you bumped into me online?
Oh, it's been a while. I want to say maybe 6 years ago.
Hmm.
I don't know exactly how I bumped into you online. I just know that at that time I was trying to do some blogging and get into that stuff. And just different people just kept popping up on my radar, and you were one of them. And so I started listening to you and just listening to your message. I'm like, this guy, yeah, yeah, I like this guy. So ever since then, I've been following you.
That's awesome. Now, I like when I'm talking to somebody and they say, "Hey, I've been here for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years," because then it lets me know that you really know and understand my brand and what I stand for and all of those
Mhm.
things because you've had some time. And then also, it shows me that you got some thick skin because I'm gonna say something to offend you on a that's a great thing. Now, where do you reside?
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee,
Okay,
where
Memphis.
it's hot as I don't know what outside. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now, have you always been in Memphis, or are you from somewhere else and moved there? Or
No, no, born and raised here in Memphis, Tennessee. Been here all my life. Southern girl at heart.
wow, okay. Now, for me, Memphis, I had a client from Memphis. Well, I got a lot of clients from Memphis, but I had a celebrity client from Memphis.
Hmm.
And other than that, all I know of Memphis is the first 48.
See, now, come on. I I'm gonna defend my city. Okay, I'm gonna say there are some issues. I will admit that, but Memphis is so much more than just the first 48. I mean, come on, the culture, the barbecue, the whole, birth of music and blues. We are so much more than that. There are some issues, I'll admit that, but we got some good stuff here.
Yeah,
But
y'all really need to do a y'all need to do a TV show of the culture and the blues because they
okay.
we got first 48, but
Mm,
so it makes us think that hey, don't go to Memphis because you're gonna
right.
you know get shot or something. But I do love Memphis. I did have a speaking engagement there, a couple of times. And I do love Memphis and the food and what is it? Is it Beale Street or something like that?
Hmm.
Yeah, I like Memphis, and I stayed somewhere down there in that Beale Street area, and across the street from me at one of the hotels or something, there was a little burger place that made at the bottom of the hotel, like in the lobby, it was like connected to
Hmm.
and made the best burger in the world. And so
Okay.
I never forget that about Memphis. Now,
Was this on Beale or off Beale Street?
yeah, it could have been on Bill or right by it, but it was a little hotel that probably was like a Holiday Inn or a Courtyard. It wasn't like a fancy hotel, but right there at the bottom, when you come out of it, connected to it, had a small little burger spot, and that burger was so good, and I kept on going back.
See,
So
we'll feed you. We will
right,
feed you, and we're gonna make sure you got some food to just. You're gonna remember the food when
right.
you leave for Memphis.
Right. Now, I want to learn, we want to learn about you and today what are you into and what has life brought you to? Like I call it purpose work. What would you say is your purpose work these days?
My purpose work is it's Nutrition. I often say that I didn't find nutrition. Nutrition found me. I was once upon a time, I was doing fine, minding my own business when my body decided to betray me. And so it started with acne. I had acne everywhere, face, chest, back, you name it, I had it. So after doing some research, I realized that there was some triggering foods that were contributing to acne and making it worse. People would always ask me, why don't you go to a dermatologist? But I knew that it was something going on in my body that was causing this, and I wanted to address that. So that's exactly what I did. It took some doing, but I realized that triggering foods for acne, like sweets, bread, dairy, the very things that I absolutely loved and was addicted to and could not stay away from, were causing me to break out. And so my journey started from removing myself from those kind of addictive foods. It was a journey. And then I get whammed with another whammer of uterine fibroids. And I know it affects a lot of African American women. And so I was one of those women. So then my shift focus, I shifted from acne to addressing the fibroids. I had to figure out what was up with that, what was causing problems with that. So I did, and found out some triggering foods and learning how to balance my hormones. It was a journey, and so in doing so, I started to share my journey on social media and just share what I was going through, what I was learning, and women started to take it started to get their attention. So they're like, hey, me too. This is going on with me too. And what are you doing? And can you share some of the things that you're doing, some of the things that you're taking? And I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm taking. And it just kicked off from there. So from there, I kind of gathered a community of women so we could share our experiences and learn from each other. And I ended up having surgery for the fibroids. But even before then, the food, my diet, I had gotten my diet under control to the point where I didn't have any symptoms. I was asymptomatic. But if anyone would watch my video and you see what they took out of me, you wouldn't be able to understand how I was asymptomatic, what was taken out of me. But I'm just here to promote the power of nutrition and what it can really do for you, how it can save your life, and how it can just transform you. I know it's not an easy journey. I was one of those women. I get it. I can relate, but I can teach you step by step practical tips and changes to help, just to help you overcome it, step by step, moment by moment, day by day, until you look back and realize how far you come.
Mm,
So that's my story.
I see. Now, how old were you when you started that journey of like discovery and like let me listen to my body and let me figure out what I'm putting in my body and what I'm doing? How old were you when you started that?
I started that journey. How old was I? It's been about, honestly, it's been about 10 years in the process, but I've always been a natural girl at heart. I've always wondered, even when I was a child, I would wonder about that. So anyway, 10 years, about, I was in my late 20s, maybe 27, 28. That's when I started breaking out. And I'm like, okay, it's got to be something on the inside. I don't know where that came from, but I just realized the medicine is not going to help me. I need something to address the inside. So about 27, 28
Okay.
is when, yeah.
The reason I asked that is because I'm curious for because my wife, she in her mid 30s, later 30s,
Mhm,
and I get to see a woman every day. And so I get to see like the different highs and lows, the different changes and stuff.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I'm always curious about like, okay, how do women come about their journey of discovering their body? Because, in my opinion, a woman's body seems to be far more complex than a man's body. And, the Bible kind of explains it in the sense of, in the beginning days when Eve got that curse put on her. And I don't know if that plays into a woman having so many complications in her body, but it's just always a lot. And we actually have, to coincide with what you're talking about, we actually have an interview on here with a OBGYN who does surgery on fibroids and things of that nature. So that's very interesting that you went through it personally. Now, have you taken the steps to like go figure out what that field, what you do naturally and what you learn naturally? Have you thought about looking to see what's that called in the academic world? Like, is it a nutritionist or a dietitian or something like
Funny
that?
you, should, funny you should say that. My apologies. I didn't mean to cut you off. But funny you should say that. Yeah, actually, I am. I'm in school to be a dietitian. So I'm a student now. Classes actually start in a couple of weeks. I'm finishing up my master's program for dietetics. So I went from being a health coach, because I have coached women about their hormones. And you are absolutely right. We are complex creatures. Any little thing can throw our hormones off. And it's it's just important to be aware of that, especially in this day of age. More women are waking up to the point of like they're waking up and realizing how important nutrition is, and even life, and even stress and sleep or lack thereof, how it all plays into our health. We're all busy, we all have lives. It just affects, I believe it affects men too, but it is personal. I can only speak from personal experience. It just can really throw a woman off. Um, and so yes, I am in school for dietetics. I'm going to be a dietitian. I'm excited about that. I graduate December of next year, in which I will be a dietitian.
And
So yeah.
that's amazing because it's so many people who need that. Like, we all need it, but we don't really know that it's accessible. And I remember working with, I would say, I think she was a nutritionist that I
Mhm.
Googled and found online. And it was kind of like she charged $600 for 3 months of like meal plans.
Mhm.
And I didn't sign up. And then when I went back to her, it was 800 for the 3 months. And I did it that time to see. And she had me go do my like lab work or whatever
Mhm. Mhm.
results. And then she talked to me just about my body and the different, meal ideas and how I should be eating and what I should be eating.
Mhm.
And what I found is, she was more so like the food groups, have all the food groups on your plate. Like, try to have protein, try to have carb, try to have fruit, try to have on each meal. And
Yeah.
I was trying to lose 10 pounds. And so she had me at like 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day to
Mhm.
kind of be, some sort of a small deficit and with a little bit of working out. And so it was an interesting process. But then I realized, like, where you come in is not just having the knowledge, but also being able to be a coach and like an accountability coach, because sometimes it's just the accountability that people need.
Mhm.
So, is that something that you do, like one-on-one sessions, like as an accountability coach to help people stick to their plan?
It's something that I used to do before went to school, and school took up 100% of my, well, not 100% of my time, but school became pretty heavy. And then it got to the point where I had to park that. It is something that I'm going to come back to. But as of right now, I just don't have the time to do it. I'm sorry. I just don't. I want to, but it's just not something that I can carry right now with everything I'm juggling. But that is 100% the route that I am heading into once I graduate from school. That is exactly what I want to go back to. I was doing it, but I want to go back to it because you're so right. It's with the nutritionist that you spoke with, awesome. I mean, everything you're saying is absolutely on the money. And with me being a health coach before I went to school, I didn't have any knowledge of things like that, the different types of calories. And I knew what proteins and carbs and fats and all that. I knew what they were, but I didn't really realize how they worked in the body. I just knew from experience, just life experience, what I'd learned about how the different foods that or the triggering foods for some of the ailments that I was going through. I knew about those. But when I went to school, I got a chance to see nutrition in a different light. And so not only rely on life experience, but rely on the actual science of nutrition and how it, because it is a science and how it works for men and especially for women who are struggling. But yes, that is definitely something that I want to get back to. Accountability coaching, that's
Mhm.
my goal.
So where is or what's the outlet where women can come and learn from you and connect with you and or is it YouTube, a book, or what are you pushing
As
right?
of As of right now, that's my YouTube channel. There, I have the opportunity to connect with women on a larger scale and just share my story. Right now, that's exactly what I'm doing, sharing my journey, because every stage of a person's life, life comes, things change. So when I first started the channel, I was at home. I had a part-time job. I could cook my meals at home. I could go to the grocery store and cook those things. I could do that. I didn't have any major responsibilities. I could do that. I didn't have anything taking up majority of my time, and I could be an accountability coach. But then life happened and I went to school and things got busy. I went to school, I got a full-time job. I am a wife. I have so much going on. I have a lot going on, and so things changed. Life changed. So I started being in survival mode. And so at this point, instead of cooking at home, because I'm so tired, I'm so busy. I'm also a praise dancer at church. I do so much. I had a lot going on. So um it just got to the point where I'm kind of in survival mode. Like, okay, I'm out. I need something to eat. What can I fill my body up with because I'm starving? And I wouldn't always make the best food choices. So over the course of 9 months of this happening, I'm starting to notice how I'm feeling again. I'm starting to notice how my skin is looking. My skin wasn't broken out, but it wasn't as supple as I wanted it to be. It wasn't as pretty as I wanted to be. So all of that to say, now I'm sharing this journey, this part of the journey. When life gets real, what happens when life gets real and you want to take care of yourself? You want to sleep better. You want to, to do these things, but you're just so busy. Things change. What happens when you have a baby and, when life happens? So I'm at this point now and I'm sharing that journey on YouTube and still offering tips and support, I guess, support and tips on YouTube on what you can do as someone whose life did change for the heavier. What can you do when that happens to
Mhm.
take care of yourself?
What is your YouTube channel name?
That would be Sandrell's Natural World at YouTube. That's it, Sandrell's Natural World.
And Drill's Natural World. Now, for
Yeah.
everybody, check the link in the description. So I'll put it there so you can just click it, subscribe, and in the comments, send us some video ideas, some questions that you have, because that way, and I do understand that, Sandrell, as far as because I do one-on-one sessions still, and it is I don't have the time for it. And so I understand utilizing YouTube so you can help a lot of people at one time. So each video. Now, going forward, about how many videos will you post a month or a week? Like what will be what's your upload frequency?
You can expect at least 2 videos a month, at least at the very minimum. I have a video coming out. It's a detox. I just did a detox because you and I discussed how life got real and how I was in survival mode. So now I'm detoxing from all of that. But I recorded the whole thing, filmed it, and that'll be up tomorrow.
Okay, awesome, awesome. And now, in your process, how were you able to identify what it was that was affecting you? Because now, when I look at your face now, it looks like you never had a, a breakout, a bump in your life. Because typically, when you have a bump, it'll leave a mark. And so you look like, you know, it's 12-year-olds with skin like that. So I'm kind of wondering, like, how did you figure this out to where, and how long did it take? Because I know sometimes we have an inclination and we can kind of feel like, you know what, this dairy isn't the way it make my stomach feel or what have you. What was your process like? Was it pure knowledge or just trial and error?
Trial and error. And I think everybody's going to have to go through that, everyone, because we're all different and we all struggle with different things. So it started with me crying in the mirror one day at my reflection. Light, it was the enemy because it just broadcast every blemish, and bless you for that. Because when people tell me that, I'm like, my skin really? Because you just don't know. But if you see on my YouTube channel, you will know because I do have older videos and pictures on there. But that process was, it was just like you said, you get an inclination like something's not right. Something's not right. And for me, I mentioned that I've always been a natural girl. And so with me looking in the mirror, people are always suggesting things. Maybe you should go to a dermatologist. But I knew something, I just knew. I'm like, it's something going on the inside. So I will search. After crying in the mirror that day, I went on a search and I Googled natural cures for acne and just started looking at those type of things. And that's what started the journey. That's what started me knowing that, okay, it's food. It's largely food. I was high strung and stressed out. I knew that. Everybody knows stress doesn't affect you in a good way, but it was the food that I was addicted to. So just doing a Google search is what started it. I just knew. And plus, I do think it was a bit of the Holy Spirit as far as how it healed because, or God really. I will tell people this because yes, I'm a nutritionist. Yes, nutrition is my thing, but I'm also a woman of God. And I personally experienced and witnessed how God heals because the way my skin looked, it wasn't nobody but God. And I say this, I'll share this a bit with you really quickly. When I told you I had fibroids, my focus shifted from acne to fibroids. And so that's what I was focusing on is fibroids, healing from that. And I started fasting. Fasting is great as a nutrition tool and as a spiritual tool. So I started fasting and praying. And my prayers were about, healing and breaking those curses for healing and stuff. And then miraculously, after I had been doing everything on my own for about 6 years at that point, but when I started incorporating fasting and praying, miraculously, my skin healed and it finally looked like this. So that's something else I share on my YouTube channel about how to incorporate God in your healing journey because you can't do it alone. Healing comes from Him. So that's what started the whole thing.
Now that is deep when you say that because we know God to be real and he is the architect of our
Mm,
cellular, our cells. So when you talk
absolutely.
to the creator of the cells and you like, hey, heal these cells and you fasting so you can hear and you can be closer and you can feel and experience and then you have that breakthrough, that right there, if that doesn't cement your belief in God, nothing will. And so,
Exactly.
and you know what though? That is something that you say that because it is almost like you could see the healing on you, because it's like not only did you heal, it's like you healed without blemish. And that's kind of like the renewing power that we read about and we learn about. And so that's next level healing.
Yes, it is. And I want everybody to experience that. When I tell people that, um, I want them to know that they can have that too. Something I've tried to heal my skin, Tony, for years before that, on my own, just trying to break those strongholds from sweets and bread. I'm doing it on my own. But when I started incorporating fasting and praying, it just went away. It
Mm,
just went away. Now you got to do your part to, break away from those foods, but God, I'm struggling. I need you to help me. I will put the meat, I will put the bread and the cheese away, even though I love it. But I will put it away. I'll do my part. But Lord, do yours. I need you. I can't do it by myself. And that's my message. My whole message is healing. It is nutrition, but it's just healing. And using and having God as your partner in this, because he wants to be your partner. And once you let him in, man, like you said, you can see the healing on me. That's profound. Thank you.
mm, that is a blessing. Well, I'm hoping everybody who sees this, especially the beauty about what you're doing is you helping. And right now, you're in a space of you helping for free because YouTube is free. So everybody who's watching this, all you got to do is click subscribe. And if you
Yeah.
can't do that, then you don't deserve nothing in your life. And so hate to tell y'all that, but that's free. And so that's the beauty about what you're doing, Sandrell, because it's a message for me too in this, because you're going to school and you're saying, okay, because I'm going to school, I don't have time to do one-on-ones like I used to. And I just heard that in my spirit today that said, Tony, you're going to have to back away from these one-on-ones that you're doing every day. So God has time. So I have time to speak through you and produce the books and the courses and the things that can
Mhm.
help the masses versus one at a time. And so that's what your YouTube is doing. And that's a beautiful thing. And don't be surprised. The Lord might keep you there longer than you realize, because the other thing about with one-on-ones is people, you never know who you're talking to and who gonna be draining and just pulling from your spirit in the wrong way. Whereas with YouTube, you can disseminate a message and it's up to them on how they receive it and deal with it, but it doesn't have to affect you. And if they try to in the comments, they got the block button. And so I commend you on that. And any last words you have for the people?
Just pull up. Just follow your sister. I can help you. I'm here for you if you're looking for somebody, some type of support system. If you're going through struggling with anything, any of the things that I've mentioned, just come on through, stop by and hang out with me and stay. Get comfortable. You're gonna learn some things, and it'll change your life.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sandrell. It's great having you on the show. And I really appreciate you. To everybody watching, make sure you check the link in the description. And if for some reason YouTube trying to block it, it don't click, just search it. Sandrell, how you say it is
Natural world.
Sandrell's Natural World. So y'all search that if the link isn't connecting for whatever reason. And thank you for tuning in. God bless you. And we'll talk soon.